Hello, my name is Emily McManus, and I'm the teacher librarian at MLK Middle School. However, most of these books are for adults, despite frequent requests from 11-year-olds for Stephen King novels. I'm here today to share with you some of my favorite novels about time travel. Replay by Ken Grimwood. What would you do differently if you could live your life again? It started with a clutching in my chest as I sat at my desk at work. As a 43-year-old sedentary man, my mind thought, heart attack. A tightening, a blurring of my vision, not even enough time to be scared before I lost consciousness. My face hit the desk with a thud I never even heard. And then I woke up. No more pain. I saw a Playboy centerfold brunette on the wall. I smelled sweat and unwashed clothes and cigarettes, stale beer. I was 18 again, in my dorm room at Emory University. All of my memories of the past 25 years intact, my body young and perfect. This time I'd live life right. Not marry the woman I ended up divorcing. Not ending up a poor, bitter journalist. I'm going to bet on the Mets. Rich, rich, rich. More money than you can even imagine. Everything went great until I turned 43 again and dropped dead again. This time I woke up in my junior year of college. Not so sure money means happiness. The loops are getting shorter. The space between deaths is shrinking. But I keep dying and coming back, trying to get it right. All life includes loss. It's taken me many, many years to learn to deal with that, and I don't expect I'll ever be fully resigned to it. But that doesn't mean we have to turn away from the world or stop striving for the best that we can do and be. We owe that much to ourselves, at least, and we deserve whatever measure of good may come of it. I think I'm alone with my secret when I come across a classified ad in the newspaper, long before JFK was famous, reading, "If you know who Lee Harvey Oswald is, call me." I may not be so alone after all. Invictus by Ryan Brodden. Faraway Gaius McCarthy is a young man with many secrets. His mother was a time-traveling recorder from 2354 AD. His father was a Roman gladiator in 95 AD, and their romance was forbidden, his existence threatening to tear apart the threads of time. In his globalized future world, the past is used to shape the future, with extinct species, like bees, reinstated by the Central Board of Agricultural Rehabilitation. And the latest viewing craze is data streams of historical events, recorded by licensed time travelers. Time travel must be regulated carefully, because one misstep could erase known existence. Traveling the grid, exploring the past in real time, was Farr's only future. He'd been raised on a steady diet of serialized data streams and Berg's expedition stories. Outrunning velociraptors, witnessing Vesuvius's rage against the night sky, surveying the Great Dust Bowl of the 1930s, but watching pixels flicker through screens and listening to an old man's recounted adventures wasn't enough to sate Farr's hunger. Even The Sims' state-of-the-art sensory replications with their sounds and smells and hologram people imbued with enough artificial intelligence to mimic an interactive scene from history, they weren't enough. He wanted to meet history face to face. He wanted to be the blood in its veins, as it was in his. Farr was a McCarthy, son of one of the most beloved recorders of her generation. Everywhere he went, Emperor's name followed. Older academy instructors always did a double take when they came across Farr in their class. "You're Emperor's boy," they'd say, along with some version of, "She was a bright girl," one of my best students. And it's such a shame about what happened to the Albasterno. His mother's legacy and loss were always there, pushing far to be the best, always the best. And he was. Today he passed his final exam with flying colors, like he always did, and received his license. Today, his sim score would earn him a coveted space on the crew of a central time machine. Tomorrow, he'd be exploring many yesterdays ago, documenting momentous events for scholars, scientists, and entertainment moguls alike. Smart and agile, Farway has defied the rules since birth, and he loses his one chance at his dream to become a time-traveling recorder, just like his famous mother, when he fails his final exam. The only way for him to access the past now is to team up with a mysterious and dangerous pirate, commandeering a ship to steal treasures from the past. Getting on the Titanic is easy enough, but stealing the coveted treasure and escaping before the ship sinks to the bottom of the very, very cold sea is far trickier, especially when a sneaky girl keeps showing up and beating him to the loot. Who is she? Why does she keep following Farway? What do we owe the past? Should Farway destroy history to secure his own future? Doomsday Book by Connie Willis. Can tragedy be stopped if we know it is coming? Kivrin Engel is a historian at the University of Oxford in England in the mid-21st century. She is so eager to conduct fieldwork by traveling to the past as an observer. Life expectancy in 1300 was 38 years, her professor had told her when she first said she wanted to go to the Middle Ages. And you only lived that long if you survived cholera, and smallpox, and blood poisoning, and if you didn't eat rotten meat, or drink polluted water, or get trampled by a horse, or get burned at the stake for witchcraft. It is further back in time than anyone had ever gone, and Kivrin steps into the time machine with a voice recorder to make her own version of the Doomsday Book, telling what it was like to live in the Middle Ages. When she arrives, she quickly realizes time has slipped. Her clothes are too fine. Her maps are useless. Her language skills are all wrong. She is far too clean. But worst of all, she has landed in Oxford at the beginning of the Black Death, 20 years after her intended target date, and unable to return home. The plague killed an estimated 75 to 200 million people, an unfathomable number, 30 to 60% of the population of Europe. As illness consumes Kivrin's new village, making all her new friends and loved ones who have taken her in ill, she realizes history is more than dates and observations. History is about people with lives unfolding along their own trajectories until an unstoppable force of nature rolls over them. Kivrin writes, I wanted to come, and if I hadn't, they would have been all alone, and nobody would have ever known how frightened and brave and irreplaceable they were. Kivrin may or may not escape the past, but she is sure that the past has forever changed her. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. Find the bird in the loop on the other side of the old man's grave on September 3rd, 1940, and tell them what happened. These were the last words Jacob heard from his beloved grandfather, who now lay covered in blood and vicious bites and claw marks in his backyard in Florida. Jacob grew up hearing terrifying stories of his grandfather Abraham, who fought through World War II and told Jacob all about running from man-eating monsters and living with very, very peculiar children in an orphanage guarded by a wise old bird, as his grandfather said. Jacob believed every word. But after seeing a monster running away after his grandfather's death, he's not sure what or who to believe anymore. Searching for the truth, he journeys to a small island in Wales, looking for the children's home that his grandfather had told him so much about. When he arrives, it's empty, boarded up, covered in dust. According to the locals, a bomb had killed everyone inside on September 3rd, 1940, and it had been abandoned ever since. About to give up, he visits the old house one more time, only to discover a magical transformation. Beautiful gardens, a grand house, very much not destroyed by a bomb, and the children his grandfather had told him about. A girl who could conjure fire, Olive who can levitate, Enoch who can raise the dead, a boy with bees in his stomach, and Miss Peregrine, the head mistress who can transform into a bird and manipulate time. She is keeping them alive and safe in a time loop, forever existing on only their day of doom. Will Jacob be able to save them? Can he save himself? Loop to the past with Jacob and discover the very, very peculiar children and terrible monsters of this grand adventure. The Time Traveler's Life by Audrey Niffenegger. What would you do if you could jump through time? Relive parts of your own life? Would you remember lottery numbers to become a millionaire? Make different choices, perhaps? How long, how many lifetimes is enough with the love of your life? As the main character from this book, The Time Traveler's Life, asks his sweetheart, don't you think it's better to be extremely happy for a short while, even if you lose it, than to just be okay for your whole life? Henry de Campbell has a very rare genetic disorder, chrono impairment, that causes him to drop out of time involuntarily and almost without warning. He awakes in new places, naked, at different ages and locations in his own life. He has no idea where he will go or how long he will be gone, though he knows stress will send him into the past or the future. Claire is the time traveler's wife of the title, often waiting for her beloved husband to return, unsure where or to when he has gone. At one point in the book, she says to Henry, I won't ever leave you, even though you're always leaving me. Long ago, men went to sea, and women waited for them, standing on the edge of the water, scanning the horizon for the tiny ship. Now I wait for Henry. He vanishes unwillingly without warning. I wait for him. Each moment that I wait feels like a year, an eternity. Each moment is as slow and transparent as glass. Through each moment, I can see infinite moments lined up, waiting. Why has he gone? Where? I cannot follow. 11/22/63 by Stephen King. I cannot get distracted again. I have one mission, to stop JFK's assassination. No matter how much I love Sadie, the future of the world is more important than my own happiness. Sometimes, a man and a woman reach a crossroads and linger there, reluctant to take either way, knowing the wrong choice will be the end, and knowing there's so much worth saving. I didn't know when I accepted this crazy mission that I would meet the love of my life at a tiny school in Texas, that I would want to build a life here in this perfect little town. If you've ever been homesick or felt exiled from all the things and people that once defined you, you'll know how important welcoming words and friendly smiles can be. Al, in my old life, where I had nothing to live for, said this would be easy. He stopped me after my usual burger at his joint, led me through a tiny door behind his kitchen, and suddenly I step out of the restaurant, and it's 1963. The air is clean, except for all the cigarette smoke. The food tastes better, the water is pure, and someone is going to kill the president unless I can stop him. But as I've learned on my many trips to 1963, the past is obdurate. Resistance to change is proportional to how much the future might be altered by any given fact. I'm not sure saving the country is worth giving up Sadie, but I know I have to choose, and soon. Thank you so much for listening to my book talk.